Hello and welcome to another weekly update, the first one of 2023. I hope you're doing great. I hope you had a really nice New Year's celebration if that was your thing. I hope you are ready for 2023. Let's go get it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be apparently full of AI and ChatGPT. So that is something I want to talk about a little bit. I'll be honest from the outset, there is not loads of new news because it's a very quiet period. And definitely, as I record this, it's a holiday day in the UK, and I'm not sure if it is in the US or not, but I think it's definitely fair to say Microsoft are mostly still all sleeping and haven't really woken up for the new year yet. So by the time we come around to the next weekly update, I'm sure there'll be things to talk about. There are 4 things I do want to cover today, though. These are, around Christmas, New Year, and sometimes the holiday periods, and occasionally in the summer, we get this opportunity a little bit just to think a little bit about other things and just to kind of broaden our horizons slightly and see how some of the new things that are happening in the tech space may come back to influence and impact on the stuff that we care about in Microsoft Teams development world. And this is one of those things I want to talk about. I mentioned ChatGPT, and it's one of those things that, there's a lot of buzz about it at the moment. It's just hit the mainstream. People are kind of trying all sorts of fun things with it and seeing kind of what works and where it doesn't. And in the most part, I think it's impressive and it's interesting to see. There's one use case I saw that I really want to highlight for people who build bots, though, because I actually thought this was a really great use of something like ChatGPT in building bots. And This is a post by Justin Randall, and I thought it was really interesting. So it's on LinkedIn. He doesn't have, as far as I know, his own blog space or anything like that. I've linked directly to his LinkedIn blog post. But really what he's doing is using ChatGPT to generate conversational utterances that are indicative of the intents he's trying to achieve. So as an example, if you've got a particular intent for, let's say, booking a flight, how do people, let me rewind slightly, come back. Let's say you want to build a bot around, one of the things you want to do is flight booking, right? So the way that works is you create the intent for the flight booking, and then you create a number of utterances, sample utterances that are the ways in which people might ask for the thing that you're trying to deliver. So I want to book a flight, I want to book a flight from A to B. How can I book a flight from A to B? I need to get from A to B. These are all examples of things people might say that you want your bot to pick up on and say, oh, sounds like you're trying to book a flight. Let me help you with that. How do you actually get to those utterances? How do you make them up? Up until now, they're in the head of the developer to try and think about what those are. And that's why when I'm talking about doing good bot design, I think it's really important to measure and capture unknown intents and intents, that don't always get matched to the right place, because in doing that, you get to understand the things that users are asking for, and maybe they are asking in a different way that the developer didn't think of. So that's how things are done today. What I think is really interesting is that you could use ChatGPT to go and find all the different ways in which people might ask for this thing, because ChatGPT is just, it's a big ingest of everything we've, done on the internet, on the web that's publicly accessible and available. So really, really interesting use of how you could use ChatGPT in this way to get really a list of sample utterances that people might say, and really kind of remove some of that unconscious bias in a way that developers have, or those blind spots that developers might have in the language of how their customers may want to interact with their bots. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was a really cool idea, a really cool use of ChatGPT, and one of the actually genuinely useful use cases for ChatGPT, which feels like they might be in slightly short supply at the moment. All right, let's stick with ChatGPT for one more second, because GPT-3 anyway, for one more second, because you could now put it inside Visual Studio Code. This is a cool thing. If you're very into this, check this out. It's a Code GPT extension for VS Code. You can put in the official OpenAI API inside Visual Studio Code. Try saying that 3 times. and it's cool. There's a nice screenshot here, little video, little GIF of what that looks like once you've done it. You could put in your function, you say what you want, you press Command Shift and I, and it goes and finds the code for you. So if you, by the way, if you haven't seen any of this stuff around GPT and what Code GPT is, it's pretty cool. You should go and check it out. It's a nice way of basically making a comment that describes what it is you want your code to do, and then it will go away and kind of build that code for you. Yeah, it's pretty neat. So I just want to let you know that's something that you can get inside Visual Studio Code now as an extension. So if that's interesting, go check it out. All right. Other things, because it's the end of the old year and beginning of the new year, we have some tech predictions. Now, there's a million different tech prediction sites I could have chosen. I landed on this one. I don't really know why. It just kind of floated to the top. I thought it was interesting. It's worth a read. You might not have seen it. You may have seen other tech prediction blog posts. This one I think is worth a read. I like how this author starts off, and I don't know particularly who this person is. I don't know if they're any good or not, but what I do like is that they recapped their last year's predictions and graded themselves, and they did quite well. So based on that, I think it's interesting to look through their 2023 ones. I think they're down on blockchain and crypto. It's interesting that they see a reversal of microservices back to slightly more deliberate monoliths. I think that'll be an interesting one to watch. Work from home continuing to normalize. I don't think that's a surprise. I think it's interesting. So what we were just talking about, ChatGPT, one of their predictions actually is that 2023 will be that year in which we try and figure all this stuff out. And interesting, he says that it's going to take a year because it's going to take a year for us to figure out and start putting it all in. Interesting, and funnily as well, he also thinks that then 2024 will be the year in which we put it in. 2025 will be the year in which we rip it all out because it all went horribly wrong. So we'll see how those go. I think it's a fun tech prediction site to read. So if you've got some downtime in the next couple of days, that's worth a read. It's always good to kind of broaden out your horizons a little bit, and just see what else is going on in the tech space. And New Year is a good time to do that. And that's also the reason for my last pick as well, which is GitHub's top 10 blog posts of 2022. Again, GitHub, one of those things that we all use, but how much do we really use it versus just using the minimal just to get our job done and then moving on. But actually, I think it's worth sometimes stepping back and just looking through some of the stuff that GitHub can do for you, some of the areas of innovation where they've really been moving things forward. And so their top 10 blog posts are interesting to go through just to make sure you know all these things, make sure you understand and just, you don't have to use them, just be aware that they exist, know that they're there, and so that if you need to call on them, you can do. So it's another one for your reading, your bedtime reading, is GitHub's top 10 blog posts. All right, that is everything from me this week. I'm going to keep it super short. Going to be back next week with lots of new news, I'm sure, and information. But in the meantime, have a great first week of 2023. I hope you, if you're making plans and resolutions, I hope they're going great. If you haven't, if you plan to join the gym and you haven't done it yet, then get on that quickly. Whatever else is you're doing this week, have a great one. And I will talk to you again for more 2023 weekly updates. I will talk to you again next week.